Hi, I'm Keegan from the London Vandal, and today I'm here with Tom Blackford, also known as Inkfetish. Tom, you're an illustrator.
Yeah, illustrator, artist in general, I suppose. I paint murals, I'm an illustrator, and I also paint canvases from time to time.
Okay. So tell us about your background as an artist before graffiti.
I've drawn pretty much since I was a kid, and I suppose concentrated on character-based work. I was really into comic books, you know, and wanted to be a comic book artist for as long as I could remember. And that was really until I discovered graffiti art, and started doing that in my early teens. And I suppose the kind of stuff I'm doing now is almost a hybrid of comic book imagery and graffiti inspired art. So yeah, it's kind of morphed into the style that I'm doing now.
So we're here in Mega City Comics in Camden. You spoke about your interest in comic books. You self-published a comic?
Yeah, back in 2005, I decided that it was probably time for me to try and, well, basically I've always wanted to create my own comic. I approached a bunch of publishers prior to that, and I think my designs were too sort of quirky or misunderstood, and especially since there was a sort of graffiti aesthetic involved, I found it hard to sell to any of the mainstream publishers. So I decided that self-publishing would be the given route, and yeah, I did that and printed 1,000 copies. It was all black and white, and it took me about a year to do. Sold half of them to Carhartt, who ended up distributing them throughout their stores, and I suppose it gained a very small kind of cult status. You know, it's only 1,000 copies, but it kind of did quite well, and yeah, that was my first foray really into publishing. Since then I've kind of focused more on standalone artwork, canvases, paintings, and murals really.
So you write a taku for your letter pieces. What does that mean?
Taku's a Japanese phrase to describe someone with an obsessive interest. In Japan, it mainly sort of refers to people that have got a sort of a heavy interest in comic books or cosplay or anime. And so I thought that it would kind of tie in quite well with what I do, being someone that's obsessed with Japanese aesthetics and graffiti being a very obsessive art form. I chose that word to sort of represent the side of me that's into graffiti letter forms as well as character-based sort of stuff.
What can we expect to see from you in terms of your upcoming work?
At the moment I'm concentrating a lot on my canvas work and painting the streets as much as I can as well, focusing on getting more sort of public spots, but at the same time making sure that I don't get arrested. So it's trying to find spots that are within a public vicinity, but at the same time, you know, I have
Mission.
Logistically can paint it.
Yeah.
So yeah, to try and get my work basically in front of as many people as possible is the key to the game as far as I'm concerned.
So what can we expect from you in terms of your upcoming work?
Really just to carry on doing what I'm doing, putting a lot more work into my canvases at the moment. That's an avenue that I feel like I haven't really explored to the full potential, so I'm going to see where that takes me. Aside from that, just trying to get my work out into the public really. Painting, I'm interested in painting the street more rather than graffiti allocated areas, because I feel you limit yourself to only being recognised within the graffiti community, whereas painting on the street, you know, you're then opening up your audience to the general public. And I've always been quite open and interested into how, you know, all walks of life interpret, you know, what I do, whether it's you know, whether they like it or they don't. It's getting it into that vicinity.
What are your feelings about the state of street art in London today?
At the moment, I think street art's going through quite a strange time. I mean, graffiti's never really been tolerated. Street art maybe slightly more, but now we're at a time where, you know, you've got the Olympics coming up in 2012. You've got the mayor wanting this to be the cleanest city in the world, so it's not too healthy at the moment. But I think it will, you know, it'll change. It'll move with the times. People will always find a creative outlet, no matter what, you know, the state is with the authorities. There'll always be a way around it. So yeah, I think time will tell, really.
So you can paint for the street and you can paint for the gallery. How do you feel about a graffiti artist or an artist with a graffiti background entering the gallery?
Yeah, I think it's still quite a sort of sensitive subject with a lot of people. I think as long as you're being true to yourself and not compromising what you do in order to enter a commercial arena, then I think it's fine. I'm personally not the biggest fan of traditional graffiti on campus. I think that if you're a traditional graffiti artist and you're entering a gallery, I think you have to realise that it's then out of context, and you have to do something slightly different in order to make your stamp in that environment. But I mean, I think there's room for it. I think there's been a big buzz surrounding it in the last couple of years that I think will eventually die down, and I think it will just come back to the fact that, you know, if you're a good artist, a good artist, whether they're working on the street or on canvas.
Well, thanks for coming and talking to us today, Tom, and I look forward to seeing your work in 2011.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.